Goeiemôre.
Hallo, kan jy my hoor?
Hoor jy mooi duidelik, ja?
Excellent. Ek is nie seker. Ons kyk of ons hom kan kry om te werk. Dit lyk tog asof hy gaan werk.
Ja, dit lyk reg.
Min of meer. Seker nie. Moet kan 'n bietjie so maak.
Die boonste deel van jou kop sny af.
Ja, as kom so maak dan sy so half semi skeef. Come on. Hy het nou self ingezoom. Kom ons net kyk.
Okay, lekker. Kan jy ouens inlaan?
Ja, seker. Ja, dit hoort te wees. Dit is tyd om te begin.
Ja.
Voor Karel.
Anton, hoe lyk dit?
Goed en met jou.
Sommer lekker, dankie. Wow, ek het jou lanklaas gesien.
Ja, jy moet maar 'n bietjie plan maak.
Ek het jou nou vir 'n sekonde daar met Joe Barras misgis. How's it, Joe? Morning.
How's it going?
Very well, thanks.
Yeah, in the West Coast is fantastic. Nice and warm next by the sea.
Are you in the West Coast?
Yes, in Langebaan.
I don't know if it's that bad. I'm not a fan favorite of the West Coast, but I don't know if it's quite that bad. Anton, daar's jy. Daar's hy. So Joe, for a second there, I saw your photo and I heard Anton speak, and then I thought it's kind of weird that your mouth isn't moving. And then I realized, but you are either Anton that's had a bit of a facial change, or I don't remember what you look like.
But nice to meet you, Joe.
Hi. Also Anton. You see, it's confusing because he got beard, I got beard, you see, and he got glasses, so yeah.
Yeah.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome. I think we still have a couple of guys signing in. I do not have a formal agenda for this discussion. I have no idea where it's going to go. We are going to be talking about the proposed or pending import taxes. And I see what government has done is they have included the entire value chain into import duties. And the idea is to get some feedback from industry so that AREP can create a document or a report that we can submit back to government to make recommendations. Now, the import tax on solar PV panels was something that was started years and years and years and years ago, and it never went anywhere. And then all of a sudden, government just imposed the tax on solar PV panels. So what we're discussing today is something that could take another 5 years to implement, or it would be something that they push through and we'll have new taxes and import duties before the end of the year, because I think government is scratching around for a bit of money. So this could go either way. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Karel Ballack, and I'm in charge of the Association for Renewable Energy Practitioners. Thanks for joining us. Welcome. I trust this is going to be an interesting session. I don't know how long it's going to last. I'm going to try and keep it within an hour. We are busy recording the session. Like all the other sessions, we will make the session available online for those of you that can't stay till the end, or those of you that have to leave for whatever reason. Okay. How's it, Brian? We can see you. You're online. Okay. Guys, let me do that. Just a sec. Let me do that. I trust you guys can all see me, and I trust you guys can all hear me. Let's start with the document, and maybe what we should be doing is, Mariesha, I just want to double check. This is loaded on Zoom as a meeting, is it?
Yes, it is.
So everybody should have the ability to activate their mics. In the interest of trying to maintain a sense of order, it would be good if you guys can put your hands up before you activate your mic. Guys, I haven't gone through the list. If you are in as a anonymous participant, this is not Facebook. Please put your name in there. We don't accept anonymous comments or anything to that order. Morning, Brolio. Wow, Brolio, are you phoning in from Angola, or are you in South Africa at the moment?
Hi, Carol. I'm in South Africa at the moment.
Okay.
Cape Town.
Okay, good. Thanks
Nice to see you again, man.
Thanks for logging in.
You're welcome.
Guys, I'm going to share my screen quickly. I will
Brolio.
share.
For the robots.
Tá bom.
Right there and then first right inside.
Brian. Mariesha, you're gonna have to please make me co-host, so that I have the ability to mute.
Perfect. I'm also muting from my side, but I'll make you co-host as well.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. I'm going to be sharing my screen, showing you guys the document so that we can start the discussion. I think I should be able to share. Let's see. Preview. I think that's the one we want to share. You guys should be able to see my screen.
We can, yes.
Yes, thanks, Carl.
Okay, cool. Guys, I think you all have access to this document. I don't know whether it's been circulated through WhatsApp, whether it's been circulated through newsletter, or how you managed to get your hands on this document. If you don't have it, you've got the notice over there. You would be able to download it. You've got the Government Gazette number over there. Shows you the customs tariff applications. I want to skip that part and then move over to reasons for review. Yeah, I think we know what the reasons are for the review, regardless of the reasons that they state over here. They need to generate money, even though they say an improved tariff structure will increase the demand for, as well as the supply chain competitiveness for locally manufactured products and components. Yeah, I'm going to leave it there. Regardless of what they say the reason for the review is, we need to be able to provide them with substantive information in order for them to determine whether we support or oppose the proposed tariff increases. The thing that struck me as interesting is, if I scroll down, the thing that struck me as interesting was that what they are proposing to add a type of an import tax on is the entire solar PV value chain. Now, guys, in the meeting today, we have a fair amount of members, and we have a fair distribution and of interest within the industry. So maybe we should start the conversation, because there are lots of materials here. Some of you would only be interested in aluminium. Some of you might only be interested in PV panels. Some might be interested in batteries, or some might be interested in inverters or electronic components. So maybe where we should start is just to have a general discussion, a general feedback on import tariffs, and maybe that would be the good place to start. Is it something we can? I see the document has been dropped in the chat box. Thanks, Mariesha or Anne. I'm not sure who dropped it there. Where do we start the conversation? What is the general consensus, guys? And now I need some information from you. I need you guys to give us an indication of what market conditions are like, and maybe that would be what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that, and then so we are trying to determine pros and cons, because we're going to have to include this in our submission to either support or oppose the proposed import duties. Okay, so I've marked where the whiteboard is. I would say in general. So in general, we have three different sectors. We have residential, we have commercial, industrial, and then we have IPPs. So we have small, medium, and large scale solar installations. How would a tax like this impact the residential sector, for example? How would it impact the commercial sector, and how would it impact the IPPs? And you guys are going to have to give us some sort of indication. So Reinhard suggests step one: what is the goal for South Africa economy and renewable economy? Fact, sentiment, and ideal. So we will be able to, thanks Reinhard, if we understand what the general conditions are for guys doing installations and for guys trading, we would be able to feed this back into your step one. So your step is the correct step, but we now need to populate information. So we need to know from you guys, what are the market conditions like currently? So if we look year on year over the last 3 or 4 years, the only thing government sees is that the growth has done that. They don't know what's happened in 2024 or anything related to that. So that kind of that growth pattern we've had over there and this sudden decline over here, they don't see that. The only thing they're looking at is data for the last couple of years. Okay. So do we have any hands up?
Joe, is your hand up?
So Reinhard says it's been reducing and likely almost zero. Okay, that is I agree with what you're saying. So if we have three sectors, we have residential, commercial and industrial, and IPP. Residential has probably ground to a halt. Significant slow. I'm going to call it slow down. I know it's terrible grammar. But we'll fix that. CNI, there's a market available in the CNI space, but that's for a demand and savings. That's kind of driven by demand and savings. Seeing that we don't really need power security at the moment, and then IPP is a bit is an interesting one because you don't have a lot of projects. They are few and far between. Then we have Mark that says, my concern is how do we support the local industry when SA is not competitive with regards to the cost to make to make local industry and due to high labor costs? Then this is a strategy to make it a BE setup, or is it going to be an equal opportunity, which I highly doubt will be the case. So something that is interesting, a couple of months ago, I was driving with someone else on the highway. I was driving with a guy by the name of Lawrence on the highway, and we looked at the development in Midrand, in the Midrand area, and he said it's interesting to see, but the only buildings popping up are warehouses. So we in South Africa are not building factories, we are building warehousing. And obviously government is trying to use that as a mechanism to create jobs. But Mark is correct in stating that even on a 15% tariff, we are not going to be competitive. So Mark, I'm not going to write your comment down because we will be able to export the text comments into a document and we will be able to process them. So I'm going to leave that there. Lucille says in the residential market, this will become more expensive than the current electricity increases. Okay, Lucille, so you are saying that the additional costs, but if we look at the costs, I just want to close that down. If we look at what they are proposing, I want to move that chat just out of the way. If we look at what they are proposing, So over here, static converters and parts, 15%. Wait. Let's just see what those columns represent. Table 1, I don't say. Column 1 and column 2 has no explanation. Applicable rate of duty and then a bonding rate or a bound rate. Applicable rate of duty. Washers are free. I just want to see DC motors free, but the bond rate is 30%. Is there someone that can explain what's the difference between the bound duty and the import tariff? I just want to... Guys, I don't import equipment. I'm not a specialist importer or distributor. So can someone just explain what the difference is between applicable rate of duty and bound rate?
I
Okay.
can. I'm able to. My name is Leon Marais. I'm a customs consultant. The import duty is the rate that that the governments of South Africa, Eswatini, Lesotho, Namibia, and Botswana charge for importing it into South Africa, and the bound rate is the maximum rate that we are allowed to charge in terms of the WTO commitments of us. So we're not allowed to exceed that.
Okay, so if government is now proposing an increase in import tariffs, which one of these two columns are going to come into effect?
I don't have the document with me. Can you just, so I can't really see properly on the screen.
It is in the
Okay,
chat.
Bound rate is,
Leon, you can download
Okay.
it in the chat. The document is there.
okay.
so Leon,
Um,
I've increased the size of the font. If you're on your phone, you should be able to see it now.
Yes. I can see it I'm on my computer. I can see it on my screen. It's not allowed to exceed it. Applicable rate is the one that currently applies. In other words, it's currently free of duty according to the left-hand column or the middle column, and the right-hand column is the one that it may not exceed. In other words, it may
Okay.
not exceed that rate of 10% because that's what we committed to the World Trade Organization when the negotiations were done back in 1994, 1995, between 86 and 1995.
But if I look at if this is the current rate being free and what they are proposing is anything up to 30%, that is
that's the commitments, yeah.
that's a massive increase. So maybe what they are doing is they are aiming high and hoping that industry would oppose it, and then they would be able to step it down to, instead of 30%, they'll step it down to 15%, which is what they were kind of hoping for to start off with.
Yeah, it's quite important that everyone that we comment to that document and that we give all that we take into consideration the current situation within the country in terms of manufacturers in particular. And then ITAC will do investigations. The International Trade Administration Commission that published this document will do investigations into all the different industries, all the different value chains in the entire supply chain. They'll then look at it, and after the investigations, they'll come up with the suggested rates. I agree with everyone. It is probably to generate money as well, but obviously then there's Eskom on the other side as well, and they want to keep the private sector out and protect Eskom as far as possible. We know that they want to to tax solar panels on rooftops that have already been inserted as a that want to put a levy on that, all those kind of things. So I think there's two parts to it.
Thanks, Leon. Thanks for that input. So what would you suggest that the guys that are in the meeting at the moment also comment in their own capacity so that ITAC gets as much feedback and information as possible?
Absolutely.
I suppose that would be better because it's going to give you a better understanding. Well, it's going to obviously flood their mailboxes, but I think that would be the intention is to show them that industry is serious about the import rates and that it has to change or that it
Good.
Okay, so
Yes.
guys, what do we do with this list? There's a massive list of material. I mean, it's the entire value chain. It's quite overwhelming if I'm honest. Let's just see. So France says the taxing will decline sales further. A maintenance cost will increase and most probably result in installations being made redundant. I actually see quite a few projects being cancelled, especially if you look at these values over here. I mean, 30%. That's fair enough. That's only for motors of an output not exceeding 750 watts. So that would kind of be maybe motors for gates. Washers is not that significant. Dome nuts, machines, mechanical appliances. Copper wire, 15%. We have a healthy local manufacturing fraternity as far as copper is concerned. Mark says, not sure if I believe that we are not competitive if we price the same product. Certainly our products are very price competitive. A 30% tariff would create a huge amount of jobs and volume would bring down our price even more. Mark, that's an interesting comment. You guys are, of course, in the manufacturing game. What's interesting is that Seraphim, so I know Art Solar has been in the news lately, so I don't want to focus on what is claimed or what is not claimed. If you look at the solar PV panel manufacturing capability in South Africa, whether it's being used or not, I'm not going there. A Seraphim has a world-class manufacturing capacity, and it's possible for Seraphim to manufacture panels in South Africa at a lower cost than what China can manufacture because our tooling cost in South Africa is cheaper. That was the last information I got from David Nunes, who is co-owner of ILB Seraphim, and David told me that the manufacturing capacity in South Africa is actually cheaper, but the factory that they put up is quite a massive factory, and it wasn't manufacturing products for the South African market. It was busy manufacturing to export it to the US. That has obviously changed. Mariesha says, please go ahead and post comments or questions. We will work through the list systematically. Joe says, I do not understand. The government gave incentives to install solar. Now they are imposing import tax. Yeah, Joe, we've kind of covered that, I think, from a installation point of view. From a job creation point of view, can be argued. We can kind of have this discussion. We can go forwards and backwards with what the motivation would be, but I think we need to we need to respond to this. The question is okay, so what we've established, according to what Leon suggested, is everybody should comment. So how does AREP how does AREP support you guys, or how do AREP support you guys as far as the commenting is concerned? Do we put all of this information available and we circulate it through the member database, and you guys can then use that information to create your own responses? Would that be a good way of dealing with this? And then George Jennings says, what about all the existing installations that will require ongoing maintenance and repairs? This is likely to have a significant impact on the consumer. Not so much raising import taxes now, because the guys that have already had installations done, that equipment has been brought into the country under lower tax implications or import tax implications. So that's not really going to affect guys who already have systems. It'll affect guys who are planning on having systems. It's going to affect guys that have already quoted on systems. A lot of the commercial industrial installations that we've been part of has taken pretty much 1 to maybe 2 years for that project to come to fruition, because the guys have meetings, they identify a contractor, they work it into their budgets, and eventually when you win the project, it's 2 years down the line. So this is going to have an impact on guys that are busy working on I would say, commercial industrial installations. It's going to impact the most. IPPs, there are lots of contractual obligations. These things are normally linked with lots and lots of contracts where you fix rand-dollar exchange rates, you fix certain contractual obligations, and the import tax, I don't think is going to affect IPPs as much. Maybe in the financial feasibility and financial feasibility assessment of the project. It might push out the payback period of an IPP project by a year or a couple of months. For residential, it is going to have an impact, but the residential sales cycle is much shorter. So what it will do is it will probably push up a project by, if I look at the import tariffs recommended or proposed, and maybe that was something Lucille mentioned, cost of the system. What would a residential system cost before pre and post? So is there anybody that would be able to do this calculation for us so that we can know what a residential system would cost before the increases and after the increases, just so that when we submit the information, we'd be able to give them that kind of data? So Lucille says 82 codes in 4 weeks to evaluate and go through is a short time. It is a short time, but I think what you need to do is you need to have a look at, guys, I'm going to stop sharing this document. Then you can see what I'm writing on the board. I think Lucille, what you need to look out for is in that document, there are going to be items. I'm just looking at the writing on my board. Is it in reverse or does it appear correct on your screen?
It looks correct.
It is correct.
Okay. Okay, cool. Thank you. It's in reverse on my screen. It's totally weird. If there is someone that can do a cost analysis of systems for residential as well as for C&I, so that we can see more or less what the cost implication is going to be. It doesn't have to be an accounting calculation where it's down to the last cent, I think it's important to understand what the impact is going to be of the proposed import tariffs. So, Lucille, I hear what you're saying, but we should be able to kind of have or something Leon mentioned that was interesting is that those are worst case scenarios. So you'd have a minimum and a maximum. If the import tax is free, this is what the system is going to cost. If the import tax is 30% on a specific project, this is going to have that impact. There are lots of items in that list that are not applicable to solar installations, like that 750 watt motor. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how many of you guys import transformers. I see transformers are in there. France has an interesting comment. We should also look at manufacturing capabilities and raw material price increases. Yeah, of course, that's also going to have an impact. But France, that now takes it way outside of my frame of reference. Mark says, either way, if they want to add even a 5% increase, they will kill more of the local manufacturing industry in South Africa. My view is government has come in too late. Look at ArcelorMittal. They had to close some plants because it's cheaper to import steel from China than to make it locally. Perhaps they are trying to copy what the US is doing. Leon says it's unlikely that the proposed increases will take effect before October, but everyone needs to comment. Thanks, Leon. That's good information and good feedback. Nigel says, I don't think this increase will either slow down imports or boost local manufacturing at all. Most resi and commercial installs are based on finance, which will absorb this pricing. Additionally, we will see a large volume of international orders being placed before this is put in place. Yeah, probably. That's fair. Thanks, Nigel. Retabile says the duties are increased because of Trump and counter-Trump tariffs. That's possible, but I think if you look at Retabile, if you look at how long government takes to make decisions, this has been on someone's desk for a couple of years. Mark says, I suggest we start with current manufacturers completing a questionnaire compiled by yourselves to submit so that we can speak as one. Thank you, Mark. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to be contacting you and see if we can set up a session with a few guys just so that we can have a slightly more condensed input. The attendance we have today is 95. It's quite a lot of people in one meeting. Anton says, it will be great if AREP can draft a response and share it with the members to add info and respond directly. I think that's important, is for AREP to kind of try and see if we can quickly put something together, maybe a framework just of what a comment like that could look like. Leon, maybe you can sit in on that meeting as well, so that we can just draft, because you're going to have to provide a bit of information, general information. Guys, you can't submit a response and say, one more tax, I oppose, the sun is free. Guys, that's not a response. You have to draft something proper. You have to put in a general section on what the background is of solar, what your experience is. Then you kind of have an area where you propose certain measures, and then you motivate the measures. And either right at the beginning of the document you have a summary, or right at the end of the document you have a summary, where you just kind of put everything together. You can't just have a 3-sentence reply saying you approve or you decline. They they don't see that as a response. Leon says the consumer will subsidize the increases. Yeah, it's going to be the guys who have the systems financed, that's just going to be absorbed by the financing mechanism. Brian says, can I go back about the local manufacturer? Yeah, Brian, I'm not sure what you mean, but yes, I see your microphone's on.
Yeah, I don't think you can hear me. Yeah, talking about Saffron, it was obviously the manufacturing plant is here in London.
Tariff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
So I'm not sure quite, unfortunately my speaker wasn't working, what to support them or not to support them. When they first started here in London, we tried to set up, I spoke to David Nanius, who was the CEO then. And what happened, we asked them, right, how are you going to distribute and sell to which outlets? And they said, no, we'll sell to everybody. So what was happening, they were quoting the same price, and the man in the street would literally call the factory, and then they were offering them at the same price as us as distributors or installers. So I know a lot of guys put their back up against that. So I don't know if that's what they call trying to look for better support, and that's what they call. I just heard them looking and chatting about support, the local manufacturer.
okay. Ryan, your microphone is not extremely clear, but I will play it back and turn up the volume.
I think the camera and the mic are the same damn thing, so let's forget seeing me, and maybe you can hear me louder now.
Yeah, that sounds better. Maybe your microphone on your headset's not working. It has decided to use your mic.
There's something wrong with the mic on my, it's using the mic of the camera instead of the mic on my bloody headset. I can't figure it out.
Yeah, that's fine. At least you look cool. It looks like you're a pilot and you're going somewhere.
That's it.
Okay, Brian, that's fine. I think I'll have a discussion with you later on. I don't know whether it would be worth having the guys from Seraphim and having the guys from Art Solar. I mean, they've already had their price increases, so maybe it's time for the other local manufacturers to step onto the plate and have their say. Project may only be awarded in years based on current tariffs. Increased tariffs will leave less room for employment. Yeah, Mark, that's an interesting observation. John Ledger says we need to see these tariff proposals in conjunction with the South Africa Renewable Energy Master Plan, which is trying to boost local renewable energy equipment manufacturing. Yo, John, are you involved with SAREM at all? I know you've been involved with CESA for many, many years. Are you still involved there? What is your view as far as SAREM is concerned? You are mentioning all sorts of interesting things that I didn't even take into consideration. So I'm just going to write SAREM. Renewable Energy Master Plan. So there are a couple of things. There are a couple of things that don't appeal. Maybe appeal is the wrong word. They are not relevant to the guy in the street. SAREM would be one of them, and the other thing would be something called the just energy transition. So government has quite a few programs that they're trying to run, where you have different organizations trying to push European goals. Maybe European is the wrong word to use, but trying to get South Africa on the same international level with certain targets, and the just energy transition and the South African Renewable Energy Master Plan are all some of these initiatives that that I look at and I hear about them in the news, but I don't see the benefit for the guy in the street. So John, I'm going to add your name over here. John Ledger. Leon Murray, Mark Stemmet. Guys, I'm just writing down a couple of names over here just so that I can keep them in the back of my mind, because we've got to set up a couple of meetings to have these discussions. Invert says, if the purpose to give opportunity for local manufacturing, do we even have the raw materials in SA to manufacture these products locally? No. We import screws and washers, and that's why there's a tariff duty on screws and washers. Even the batteries, if you look at an organization, quite a few battery manufacturing facilities in South Africa. And when I say battery manufacturing facilities, I look at Blue Nova, Freedom One, Revolve, iGen, wow. Quite a few of them that import battery cells, assemble them locally, and even the battery cells are being proposed for an increased tariff. France says it affects the entire electrical industry. Absolutely, yeah. It goes beyond the normal solar value chain. Mark says residential is too vague, as it can go from 1 kilowatt to the biggest we have seen is 50 kilowatt. There are many factors. I suggest we look at products that are already available and are being built in SA. EV chargers are probably the biggest focus point in the next couple of years, along with hot water heating. Inverters, MPPTs, and solar pump controllers for off-grid use also critical. SSEG units will become unaffordable. Mark, again, the stuff you've listed over there are equipment we haven't even considered and haven't looked at, so it would be good to have that meeting. Nigel says, I can only speak on the impact direct import costs more than sales into the market. So just adding a few more names. Adding a few more names on my list that I need to phone. John Ledger then says the draft South African Renewable Energy Market Plan Executive Summary, the vision and opportunity for renewable energy manufacturing value chain in South Africa on the back of a rollout of renewable energy technologies as mandated by the Department of Mineral Resource and Energy. So it's interesting, years and years ago, John, you will remember, we had a large solar water heating manufacturing industry. We had lots of factories manufacturing solar panels and solar geysers and solar water heating related equipment. And I think most of that has fallen away. So I look at something like the South African Renewable Energy Master Plan that you're talking about, and I'm kind of going, but we're working backwards, because this used to be effective, and there used to be industries, but those have all been killed off. And now we have all these commissions and these organizations trying to create something new that is dead. Thanks, Greg. I'll have a look at that email. Dated, so Gradus says, email dated 2nd of May. You can read the Gazette on the AREP website. Oh, okay. Thanks, Gradus. It was circulated in the newsletter. I just couldn't remember when. Matthias says page 30 and 31 suggests some areas we could comment on when industry want to influence it. Thank you very much. We'll have a look at page 30 and 31. the deadline for comments is the 15th of May. So we literally have a week to finalize our discussions and then about a week to create the response. Peter says, could you please send the copy again? I think Gradus just said in which email it was sent, but I think Marisha would have attached it again. Vitsa says the file cannot be opened in Adobe. Okay, thanks. Marisha gave a link. Is Eskom in the meeting with us today? Brian, I don't think Eskom's in the meeting today. If we do have Eskom in the meeting, is the question going to be related to import duties? If it's not related to import duties, Eskom shouldn't be commenting. Let's try and stick to the topic. Anton says the file doesn't open. Okay, guys, we'll sort out the file. We'll sort out the filing issues. I think we've kind of got a process.
Misread. The file do open.
Okay, dankie Anton. Okay, thanks. Okay, guys. I think we have a process. Mark wants to know, how can industry influence government when a few weeks ago the president said that industry will not be allowed to tell the government what to do? Mark. There always has to be that one question. Okay, so I think it is possible to have an impact on government. It is possible to have an influence, but it's not something that happens overnight. So you submit a response and then you phone and you follow up, you set up meetings. It takes forever. It took me about a year to get a meeting with the chief inspector. And even though, so the Department of Labor is easy to approach, but it's just a wheel that turns extremely slowly. So the only way to do this is to give them proper information, make sure that the right channels get the feedback, and make sure that the right person actually gets the mail. So we'll send it to more than one government department. It's not just one government department that makes the decision. It has to go to ITAC. It has to go to a number of places. So we've got to increase our exposure of the information and where it is being sent. So I hear what you're asking, but I actually think it is possible to have an impact. You just have to be patient. Johnny says, if we import parts and assemble locally, will we be subjected to import tariffs to the same extent, or will we pay less? Now, Johnny, that would be exactly the kind of thing that you need to propose. So if we are going to create a response, and so Mark is in the manufacturing fraternity, I'm assuming you guys manufacture as well. So what we could propose is that if the products are going to be used for assembly, but how is that going to be managed? So parts that are assembly parts on a reduced tariff. So we could propose that guys that are going to be using it in a manufacturing process pay less tax. Leon says manufacturers could apply for rebate provisions. So what we can do is, when we submit our our comment, we could say, fair enough, if you're going to be charging tariffs, then at least manufacturers should have certain concessions in order to promote. That would promote local manufacturing. I see that as a positive step. Okay, guys, the meeting has been ongoing for 50 minutes. I think we have a process. Leon says under Schedule 3 to the customs and excise tariff, it is there to promote local manufacturing. Thanks, Leon. Johnny, I think that answers your question. I see Reinhard also responded saying automotive used the term SKD, semi-knocked down, many years ago. It worked for a while and then government caught on and closed it down. I think they're smart enough now. So I think we've got what we need in order to take the next step, put a document together, circulate it to the AREP membership. We need to have a couple of members. I've taken down some of the names of the guys that I need to have discussions with. So unless there are any final comments, or anybody wants to say anything before we conclude the meeting, now would be the time. So just to confirm, we are creating a document. We are going to be responding to it. I think, Lucille, I'm going to put your name in here as well. So I've got a whole list of names over here. I think that is good. Guys, any last comments before we conclude the meeting? Mark says we need to be competitive. Yeah, Mark. The local labor environment is extremely challenging. It is crazy. It really is not an easy. It really is not an easy side of the business or expense to navigate. Gradus says it's not clear who submitted the application or why. Gradus, I actually think if you look at the news and you look at the volume of stuff that's being imported, if you look at government having raised import tariffs on solar PV panels, I mean, that gave them an immediate couple of million rand per annum boost. And if you look at what import duties on one item has done, that would have been enough to raise a couple of eyebrows and make the guys go, but wait a minute, if we can make that much on just one item, how much can we make on the entire value chain? So for me, it's the PV panels was an initiative by one of the local manufacturers. I actually think this was government waking up to the size of the industry. Mark wants to know, do we have a database of local manufacturers? Mark, yeah, we can work through the list. I think we have quite a few, but we have a few guys manufacturing inverters in South Africa. We have a few manufacturing panels. We have a few manufacturing batteries or assembling batteries. We have quite a few doing mounting structures. I do have a list. Sven wants to know, we're not jumping the gun on import tariffs just yet. Yeah, government would probably argue and say that they're behind the curve. So, Johnny, what I think you need to do, so this is where industry bodies come in. Johnny wants to know, will AREP be the body through which we will work as local manufacturers? You are probably going to find that other other industry bodies might have similar initiatives. As a local manufacturer, if I was a local manufacturer, I would kind of try and be involved everywhere. So if you are involved with more than one industry body, try and find out whether that industry body is going to be responding. You are welcome to take our feedback and pass it on to another industry body. If they can use the information, let them do with the info what they want. And likewise, if there's good information coming from other industry bodies, pass it on. So that we can build a document that is substantive and factual, and give the right kind of information to advise government correctly. Gareth says, if you need any info from Microcare, we are happy to assist in promoting local manufacturer. Thanks, Gareth. I know this is not, no, this is not, I shouldn't, no. I wanted to make a comment about your Facebook updates, but I'll have a chat with you when I speak to you over the phone. Thank you very much. Gareth, I'll put your name on there. Guys, Facebook is an interesting place. It has both all of the good and all of the bad in there. Anyway, Mark says those updates are not, Gareth. You can blame me for creating controversy. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's interesting. It's nice to see, as much as I don't enjoy sharing photos of what I do and where I'm involved and where we go and what we're up to. It's kind of nice every now and again to see guys from industry and what they get up to outside of the solar sector. Mark says this is off topic, but who's in control or looking after the tax for end of life of PV panels? That's a huge amount of money that is paid up front before goods are released from customs and is supposed to be used in 10 to 25 years time, depending on the electrical equipment needing to be recycled. Okay, Mark, that is absolutely off topic. For those of you who don't know, Mark is referring to something called a PRO, or a producer responsibility organization. For guys who import equipment, you have to pay for the recycling of the equipment when you import the goods. It is insane. Yeah, so think about this. You import goods into South Africa. So as a distributor, you import goods. Then you pay a PRO according to the weight of the goods that they are importing for the recycling and the end of life of that product. So, Mark, if you could give me a call, maybe after the meeting. AREP is in the process of setting up a PRO. I don't know if I'm allowed to say too much just yet. But AREP is in the process of setting up a PRO, and we have had discussions with a number of the distributors already. I think it's important for any organization that acts as a PRO to have the interest of industry at heart. And it would be good to have your feedback or your comment on if you are importing equipment and you are currently paying for the end of life of those products, to rather have an organization that is involved in the renewable sector to look after your best interests. And Mark, maybe I should leave it there. Guys, it's 1 minute past 12. I think we've had good comment. Thank you very much. It's been a good session, positive interaction. We will circulate the information. that we have collated, and you guys can use that to formulate your response and hopefully get your documents in before the 15th of May. Yes, we're in May already. Only a couple of months left before Christmas. We've got to do what we can before the end of the year. Guys, that's it. Thank you very much. Thanks for your time. Thanks for the input. We'll circulate the responses as soon as we have managed to put something together. I think I'm going to conclude this meeting now. We've got another. We'll let you know as soon as we have information and if we are setting up any additional meetings. Yes, Anton.
No, thanks.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining. Cheers.